This is Make a Path Presents. I'm your host, Ronnie Hayes, and today let's talk The Walking Dead's Michonne and Rick now getting intimate. Alright guys, so this is a prediction speculation video. It's not even one that I necessarily came up with, but I do want to talk about this. This is a pretty hot topic, especially with the shippers, and for those who do not know what that is, in a fandom, if you want a guy and a girl, or a girl and a girl, or a guy and a guy, if you want people to get together like in an intimate relationship, you're considered a shipper, or relationshipper. Anyhow, so there's a lot of people, especially recently, ever since they got to Alexandria, where Michonne was pretty close, to Rick. I think she even holds his hand or rubs his hand. But Michonne's always been close to Rick, right? Like, that's how I saw it. They were like best friends. They are best friends. And I voiced my opinion, but ever since Alexandria, more and more people are coming out saying, man, Michonne and Rick are going to get together, whoop-de-whoop, because in the comics, I can say this because the character's dead, but in the comic book, Rick gets with Andrea, and Andrea becomes, like vice president of Alexandria. However, in the TV show, Andrea's long gone, and a lot of fans are really hoping to see Michonne step up in that relationship arena. There's a hint of a new cast. It's this chick from Justified, Alicia Wilcott is her name, something like that. I love her work, even though I didn't know her last name. Loved her in Justified too. Beautiful chick, and people are even speculating that that is the new love interest. However, that could simply just be a savior. It could be a female savior, you know what I mean? It could be a character from the Hilltop. It could be a character from the... We're not going to go into that. I forgot this is a TV show video. Anyway, so, that's possible. But another thing that is still bugging me is what Deanna said. She told her to, and I'm going to misquote it now because I didn't remember her word for word, but it was basically for Michonne to find something that made her happy, to hold on something that makes her happy. I believe she specifically said, what makes you happy, or what's in it for you, or what do you want? And I do believe that might just be foreshadowing for her and Rick, because even prior to that, we have the one guy, when they were on their way back after the Corey ship in season 6, the one guy was talking about his wife, saying how he was a changed person and he met his wife and she brought him back, and that not only paralleled Michonne's story between her being lost, finding the group as a whole, and them changing her, and that's literally a perfect reflection of her story. But it can also be interpreted as her finding Rick changing her, and so on and so on. So if you look at those two instances in this season alone, you have the guy talking to Michonne, and it's reflecting Michonne's actual story. It's like paralleling her story. Then you got Deanna telling her to find what makes you happy, and then in episode 9 you have her kissing Carl's forehead, holding Judith. She's held Judith before, but it was extremely different. Before, it was a peek into her backstory because of how emotional she got. Now she's holding her, and it's it's like a loving cradle. She's worried about Carl, holding Judith. That part did soften me up on the idea that they can do this in a way to make it work. There's going to be a lot, fans might flip their shit real quick because you'll have to change a lot from the comic, but actually adding a new character or switching characters we got, remixing in a certain way, you could actually make some of the story work. There's some things that are still problematic, that will be problematic, but right off the top of my head, with making a few adjustments, you can actually make this work if they did want to go in that direction. And at this point, I'm not against it, you know what I mean? My argument before wasn't, it should be somebody else, whoop-de-whoop. I didn't have a favorite. My argument was simply, I just felt like it was cheap. They are so damn close. They are, they're like family. And that's how I saw it, especially with her and Carl. There's a lot of arguments. Is she like a mother to Carl or like an aunt to Carl? And I just loved how she gave him a kiss on his forehead before she went out to help Rick fight. She saved Rick's life for the governor, stabbing the governor in the back. She saved Rick's life from getting shot by stabbing Ron in the back. I mean, like, she is there, you know what I mean? They are close, that whole trio. Rick, Carl, Michonne, and I think a lot of fans that aren't aware of the comic aren't aware that it's not strange for us comic fans because they are extremely close in the comic. But what I'm saying is, it doesn't shock us that they're really close on the show, because again, they're super close in the comic. So if they did go that direction on an intimate level, they would need to make that scene extremely important. Like, it needs to be very important, because it's super easy to make it flaky and have it feel like fan service. Like, oh, in the comic book he's got a chick, whoop-de-whoop, so oh, Michonne, there you go. You guys are close already. There you go. That is what I was afraid of. I wasn't afraid of, I wasn't picking someone else instead of Michonne. I was just afraid that, they're close the way it is. It's just too easy to give it that extra nudge for the writers to do. So if they do it right, I can see how that would play out. Now, if they don't do it, if they don't have Michonne get intimate with Rick, with Rick, I understand that as well, because they don't need the intimate. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're close. Listen, and what sealed the deal for me to support what I previously said was No Way Out. Man, she was concerned for Rick. She's like, I gotta go help him. And Denise is like, just give me a second. She has his back. She protects him. She loves him. She loves Carl. I mean, and you saw the fear in her eyes after Carl got wounded. She was afraid of losing, him possibly already. Afraid of not getting him to help. You just saw the fear on her face. And that's good enough for me. You know what I'm saying? Because she loves them. I don't need them to be screwing for me to think they love each other anymore. You know what I'm saying? That was always been my argument. But again, that is still a good argument. I still 100% stand by that. If it's going to be Michonne, it's going to happen soon. It will definitely happen in season 6. It has to, because of the comic timeline. Now, I'm not going to go into details, but I will simply say, because of how they are translating some of the comic to the screen, what's going to happen in the end of season 6 will push the story and the characters into a whole different ball game. And because of that, certain things are going to have to happen a certain way, and it's going to be limited. Like, they're not going to have enough time to sit there and go, okay, you know what, we can worry about developing it later. Now, if it's not going to be Michonne, there's a chance they can bring someone on for season 7. That's definitely possible, but it has to be done in the right light. You know what I mean? It has to be done in the right. It can't just be like, oh, here's a chick out of nowhere. She's been here the whole time, but we just haven't seen her. It has to be like someone from the hilltop, or someone from another community, or someone they find out there. They need that ultimate episode where they are together through something, and she's a strong, character. She can't be one of these other characters that are new to the environment. She has to be able to kick ass from the beginning. But again, it's either a new character in season 7 that they're bringing on. They might even bring them on in the end of season 6 and surprise us. I don't know. But I think there's too much going on, maybe. But it's either that, or it's definitely got to be Michonne. That's how I feel about it, because of how the comic plays out. And comic fans know, when we get to the point where this new Negan villain shows up, shit's gonna go from 0 to 100, and there's gonna be a limited amount of time for Rick to develop a relationship before they go to war. But what I'm saying is, Michonne would need to get it in this season. Absolutely have to. At least the way I see it. Because they need to establish that, depending on how they're gonna do it, through season 7. Like, that's the main part. So it would have to form somewhere around now. Alright, those are my thoughts and opinions on this. Please let me know what you think about Michonne and Rick finally hooking up in the world of The Walking Dead. Put those down in the comment box. I'm done talking. It's your turn. Subscribe now.